Swarupa Swaswa Bhava Namo Namaha. Leaps and bounds. I remember getting leg pains in my adolescence. I felt a deep inner ache that had a sharp edge to it. The doctor called them growing pains. He offered no treatment, no help whatsoever, saying I'd outgrow the growing pains. It's true, I did. You will too. Those growing pains are caused by muscular tension. The bones are growing faster than the muscles. The muscles are holding tight while the bones attached to them are growing longer, stretching the muscles and tendons to a new length. If my childhood doctor had simply recommended some gentle massage, or maybe some yoga, my growing pains would have disappeared. Looking back, I can see that it would have helped me grow into myself much more smoothly on all levels: body, mind, heart, and spirit. Everyone wants to get a boost. Like a child sitting on daddy's shoulders, you want to see beyond where you're stuck. You're hoping to bound into the next level, leaving this one behind. Of course, you can do things to move that along. However, your ability to discern what to do, as well as to actually do it, is part of what you're growing into. The biggest boost is Shaktipat, the initiation into self-knowingness. After Shaktipat, the flow of divine grace is stronger and more tangible. It gives you a profound yogic breakthrough, an opening to your own divine essence. Yet Shaktipat doesn't give you the ability to avoid your growth processes. Instead, it gives you the clarity of knowing what you need to do, why to do it, and where you'll be when you've done it. One yogi described it to me this way: I know who stays, and I know who goes. She wouldn't say anything else besides that. When I saw her a few months later, she had remodeled her life totally and was very happy about it. Clarity. Breakthroughs are not dependent on receiving Shaktipat. Grace is not so limited. Grace is part of life, always available. You've been lifted out of your small s self so many times by divine grace. Shaktipat is the form of grace that awakens your inner meditative energy. So the upliftment keeps coming again and again every time you meditate. It arises within. While Swarupa Yoga specializes in Shaktipat, you were uplifted and sheltered by grace before yoga. Your life has had many moments of grace. Like a child sitting on daddy's shoulders, grace shows you what you could not see. Yet, you still have to come down to earth and go through the process of growing into your own future. It's easier to navigate to your future when you've seen where you're going, and even easier when you have a GPS. Yoga's teachings provide both: the description of your goal as well as how you get there. The teachings describe levels and stages that can help you understand where you're at, and they give you practices that help you make the next leap forward. That's what I'm presenting in this telecourse: the levels and stages of your upliftment. It tends to happen in leaps and bounds. Module 1 of this telecourse is titled Growth Spurts. I'll explain the deep meditative immersion that many of you experience, both in meditation and in Shavasana. It's not sleep. It's a deep meditative immersion, a very important inner experience, and I'll explain it more fully. I describe Shaktipat as a divine jump start. This metaphor for Shaktipat includes both parts of the jump start. A running engine provides enough energy to get a dead engine going. And the newly running engine now runs on its own while producing the energy that fills its own battery. Shaktipat gives you that energy to get going inside. But then you fill your own battery through your own meditation practice, in which you give Kundalini time to do your inner work for you. She's already awakened. That's what Shaktipat is. So she climbs your spine whenever you give her the opportunity. In other words, your growth spurt is followed by day to day. I'll cover the purpose of the different practices. Poses make you able to sit longer and more comfortably without having to hassle with body needs. Ujjayi pranayama makes you able to delve more deeply inward and stay longer as your pranic reserves develop. I'll talk about chanting or repeating mantra and what that does for you. Also sutra study, seva, ashram volunteering, dakshina, giving donations to the guru, to the ashram. Sangha, an important part of your practice is your yoga community. And the most important practice, meditation. I'll explain each of these more fully. We'll delve into your yogic heritage. While you have your birth family and perhaps an adoptive or foster family, you also have a spiritual family. You have the generations that have preceded you, as well as the generation you are part of. Shaktipat gives you a specific spiritual DNA. It's a cellular level change. You can tell this when you get together with another Swarupi. You share something beyond theory and lifestyle. It's like DNA. As an inheritor of this tradition, you're not just riding on Daddy's shoulders, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You're standing on the shoulders of spiritual giants. And we'll look at backsliding, which I diplomatically call relapse. Every class you take is a leap into the inner experience of consciousness, and then you lose it. I watch students getting this experience in every class, in every meditation. I remember when I first started teaching in San Diego, they'd come in, they'd have ecstatic experiences, and then they'd drag back in a week later with the same old aches and pains, with body aches and heartaches. I'd move them through the spinal opening process again, and they'd feel greater than before. And then they went home and did the same things they always did, the stuff that gave them their pain. There's another way to handle yourself. Patanjali warns about the 9 hindrances. Some of them will probably be familiar. This is in the Yoga Sutras, verse 1.30. Vyadhisthana samshaya pramada alasya avirati branti darshana alabdha bhumikatva anava stitatvani chit vikshepas tintaraya. It's a list. 9 hindrances, he says, cause your mind to be distracted from the self. Illness, density or dullness, doubt, carelessness, laziness, worldly mindedness, erroneous perception, non-attainment of a yogic stage, and backsliding. I'll go into these in detail. And I'll also cover his 4 symptoms and 8 remedies so you know what to do. That's Module 1. Module 2 begins with make your life sacred. I begin this module with a personal story. I stepped through a narrow doorway into a small shop, following my friend who was shopping in Mumbai, India. I couldn't see around her, so I didn't know what kind of shop we were entering. After I stepped in the door, she turned to the side to look at something, leaving me in the doorway facing a 7-foot-tall statue of Ganesha. I looked up at his face, took a sharp breath, and my knees came out from underneath me. I collapsed on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. It was unexpected, ecstatic, painful, and overwhelming. The shop owner came running over, but did not try to get me up off the floor. Neither did my friend. They both sat with me, moved by my experience, not even talking. It was 20 minutes before I could raise my head and get up off the floor. And the story goes on. We'll look at environmental influences and what to do about them. And this one includes an experiment for you to do with 2 pictures of me or 2 pictures of my Baba. You start with 2 identical pictures. You can buy them from the ashram or you can download and print them on the internet. And then you place them in different locations, and one of them you do ceremonies to, and the other one you don't. And at the end of the week, you bring them together and take a picture of them side by side, and you see what's the difference between them. And I'll teach you what the ceremonies are. That's part of learning the possibility of including some rituals in your day, sacred ceremonies. Some short ones, some longer ones if you choose. I'll also explain spiritual plateaus, how wonderful they are, and how they can be a trap. How to recognize when you're in the trap, and how to get out. Overall, the thing to remember about yoga is results are guaranteed. You do a little meditation or you do a little yoga and you feel immediately better. You do more and you feel even better. In the kitchen one day, a yogi was helping to prepare our midday meal, and she was complaining about neck pain. I offered to help. Then I taught her a simple arm and shoulder movement that dissolved some of the spinal tensions behind her heart. It took 3 minutes. The pain was gone. Results are guaranteed. Module 3 begins with outgrowing your past. We'll look at how important your past is and how it's totally unimportant at the same time. Shaktipat frees you from your past, including freeing you from karmas. Shaktipat incinerates your sanchita karma, the most limiting of your 3 types of karma, and will cover the 3 types and how you get free from them. Breakthrough is an important part of this course. It's how you leap and bound into consciousness. So I'll look at the elements of a breakthrough and tell you how to prompt one anytime you choose. We'll explore pain and what it does to your mind and your whole sense of self. We'll see what the sage Patanjali says about the cause of your pain and how to get beyond it. And we'll look at the sage Ashtavakra testing his disciple, King Janaka. Janaka answered his teacher's questions by describing his own expanded state as eternal, ever-existent reality. Being God, being all. Having a body, not bound by the body. All-pervasive, all-knowing, absolute, creative power, the source of all. Possessing nothing, yet owning and being all. When you know your own self, as Janaka described, jubilation bursts forth, glory and glee, gladness arises from within. Just as Janaka said, you can raise your arms to the sky and shout out loud, Aho Aham, wonderful am I adore myself. Aho Aham, wonderful am I adore myself. Also in Module 3, I'll cover Tantra, mysticism, and renunciation. You know, it starts with, I want it all. Of course you do. All possibilities lie within, which we'll explore with teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains the inner impulses that arise within you. Some are divine and some are demonic. How do you tell the difference? And what do you do with them? I coined this phrase to describe the path as well as the goal, fully embodied, fully enlivened, fully enlightened, fully empowered consciousness. I'll explain it more fully to help you with the process of getting to the goal. Shaktipat is essential, as is renunciation, and I'll walk you through how each one works and how they support each other. And I end with a question for you. What will life look like when you're realized? And I answer the question. Plus, there's a bonus video for you for those of you who enroll in all 3 modules. The bonus video is called Resting on Your Laurels. It's about how easy enlightenment is. Not that it's easy to get enlightened, but once you're enlightened, everything becomes easy because you live in your skin in a whole new way. So when do you get to kick back and sit on your laurels? How do you know that you're there when you're there? At least the GPS tells you when you arrived. How will you know? This telecourse will help, both by giving you leaps into your own future and helping you understand the process while you're in it. Thank you for joining me for this introduction to your own future. Om Swarupa Swaswa Bhava Namo Namaha.